Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cece. Today's video is going to be on this glam look, this sunset, warm vibe, pretending like it's not the dead of winter in New York makeup look. I'm using the Huda Beauty Obsessions eye palettes. This one's in Topaz. I have a couple other ones and I love them. Great quality, super easy to travel with. So yeah, if you want to see how I got this look, then keep on watching. Echo. Stop. Okay. So to start, I'm going to go ahead and prime with the Hourglass Veil Primer. I'm going to be using the Hourglass foundation. Might as well keep it in the same family. I don't find it to like make my foundation kind of fade away like some primers do. It just really kind of helps give that smooth base to the skin. For foundation, I'm using one of my favorites, the Hourglass Vanish Stick foundation in Warm Ivory. This is like such an underrated foundation, I think. Well, I just use it all the time. It's so easy to travel with and apply, and the finish is amazing. Voila. Take my It Cosmetics foundation brush and buff that in. It's looking a little orange on camera, but I promise it matches. And then once all that's buffed out, I like to go back in, or go in with a sponge. This is my Morphe sponge, and just make sure it's all blended nice and evenly. I really like using a brush first for my foundation to buff it out and then go in with the sponge. I find it absorbs less product. Okay, now that we're all blended, I'm gonna go in with two different concealers. My NARS Radiant Concealer in Custard, the Radiant Creamy Concealer, and then this is just the Chanel Corrector Concealer in 10 Beige, because I can't find my lighter NARS shade. So I'm just gonna go in with the lighter shade like this, and then take the Custard, which is a little closer to my actual skin tone but still a bit brightening, and then a little down the center. Boom. So I'm going to go ahead and actually fill in my brows really quickly. This is my Hourglass Arch Brow Micro Sculpting Pencil. I'm actually obsessed with this. It's like the tiniest little pencil, but it gives you like the best natural looking brows. So while my concealer dries down, I'm just going to go ahead and fill these in really quickly. It helps make sure the concealer gets kind of tacky and it makes it a little more full coverage that way. So I'm just going to follow the natural like shape of my brows, but just fill in where it's a little sparse. Kind of exaggerate the tail, you know the vibes. Okay, brows are done, nothing too crazy. So now I'm going to go in with that same Morphe sponge and go ahead and buff out that concealer. Really just focusing it on the area where we set it and just kind of pressing it into the skin instead of like swiping it. So make sure you're using like patting motions. In the concealer, some time to like get tacky and dry a little bit really helps kind of build that coverage. You don't want to bring the concealer any further down from like the top of your cheek when you smile, because that's where you want to like highlight. You don't want it to go any further, because then it just will look weird. And then I use the pointed edge of the sponge to buff out the nose concealer to make sure that stays nice and straight. Now, after we're done highlighting, we're going to go in with the Fenty Beauty Matchstick in the shade Truffle. We're going to use this to cream contour. Just add a little around the perimeter of my face. And then down the sides of my nose. Looking crazy. And then I'm going to take my e.l.f. stippling brush and just go ahead and buff that out. I'm going to go in with this angled BH Cosmetics brush, 119, and I'm going to use that to buff out my nose contour. I like that it's angled because it really like fits this area well. But make sure you bring your nose contour up and blend it into your eyebrows. I know that sounds weird, but that just kind of makes the whole thing look a little more seamless. I was going to say natural, but like, let's be honest. Obviously, the closer you draw your lines together, the more like pinched your nose looks. And then this kind of doing it underneath kind of helps like lift it up. Because my nose kind of goes down a little bit, so I like to create that like fake lifted look. You feel me? Keep blending this out. You don't want any harsh lines. You see already how much more like snatched my nose looks? I literally never used to like contour my nose, and now I like can't live without it, I swear. Alright, we're looking pretty blended. So now I'm just going to go back in with that Morphe sponge and make sure we have no creasing, because now we're about to do the eyes. Actually, I'm going to take a little bit of the Chanel shade number 10 and like prime my eyelids before I set the powder. Sorry you guys, I don't know if it's allergies or what, but I've been stuffed up all week. Alright, now that I'm making sure there's no creasing anywhere, I'm going to go in with the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Loose Baking and Setting Powder. This one is in the shade Pound Cake. You guys, this powder, I'm obsessed. And it's lasted me so long. I've had it for so long, and I use it all the time. And I literally have so much left. But the finish is just insane. So I'm just going to go in with my same sponge. The little trick I have is to dab the powder onto like my forearm before I go directly onto my face. That kind of helps make it like even on the sponge, because sometimes when I dip my sponge into powder it gets like clumpy, you know. And then we're just going to press it in underneath the eye before we really kind of bake. So this is going to like give us the first layer for it to sit on, but really push that into your pores. And then do the same on the other side. Really press that into the skin. If you like blow some air in your mouth, it kind of helps smooth out any of like the lines and the wrinkles, and it lets you really press that powder in. Back in underneath my eyes and kind of use that to like bake. This will help catch any like fallout from our eyeshadow too. This powder is amazing, honestly. And then we're going to take that pointed side. This is like my favorite thing to use this sponge for. I'm going to bake down the sides of the nose. They snatch that nose contour. Make sure this is even. This is important. The same on the other side. Like if you could see my arm right now. Alright, now that this bake is on, today I'm going to be using the one of the Huda Beauty Obsessions eye palettes. This is in the color combo Topaz. So pretty. I just got back from Miami this past weekend, and I don't know why, I was just feeling inspired by like sunset colors and vibes. But this palette is literally perfect, and it's so good to travel with. I also have two other ones of the same Obsessions like line. One's coral, that's this one, really pretty as well, and then this one's warm brown. So like between the three of these, I'm set. Like I said, today we're going to go in with the Topaz. So to start, I'm just going to take a big fluffy blending brush. I'm I'm gonna go in with this Morphe Y15, and I'm gonna mix this yellow and like light pink shade and kind of work that into the crease. So I'm just gonna take those two and just work those kind of as the transition color. These shadows are so pigmented, so easy to blend, and I don't really get a lot of fallout. We baked underneath just in case, but I haven't had any issue with them. So just gonna kind of wing that out, blend it, use this as the base shade. Don't really have to be too neat with this, but make sure you get this like little inner corner as well. Kind of create that like rounded shape that we want. Do the same thing on both eyes. Mixing those two colors together creates this nice like orangey pinkish shade. And I'm gonna go in with a clean Morphe M532 brush and just buff out the edges. I always like having one clean brush to use just to blend everything out, so this will never, I'll never actually put product onto it. I'll just use it to kind of blend out whatever shadow I put down. And this is a really pretty like light orangey pinky base. Now we're gonna go in, I'm gonna take the shades, don't have names, a little darker orangey, reddish orangey shade on a Morphe M535, and I'm going to focus this a little more concentrated like in the actual crease and sort of warm that up, not bringing it as high as I brought the orangey pinky shade, and then kind of smoking it out a bit. And just keep blending. How are we looking? Pretty blended? Okay, so now we're gonna take a little more of a pointed, tapered brush. This is the Morphe 506, and we're gonna dip into this even darker sort of reddish color. We're gonna focus this on like the outer V and kind of keep the darkness towards the edge of the eyes and kind of smoke it out. So I'm just gonna dip into that and kind of create that like V shape on my eye and kind of build up the color in that shape. I kind of drag it a little bit like onto the lash line and then up into the crease a bit, but keeping it below that second color we just put on. You're gonna blend it into it, but focusing this a little more on the actual lid. The lid and the outer V. I like to pack the color on with this brush, and then we'll use one of the brush from the color before, the M535, yeah, and use that to buff it out. Too much depth that gives it. Wow. And repeat on the other side. Okay, now that we're looking pretty blended, I'm gonna go in with this little bit of a denser, smaller eyeshadow brush from Surratt, and I'm gonna dip into the lightest light pink shade, and I'm almost gonna do like a slight cut crease vibe, but not actually putting down any concealer. I'm just gonna use the light shade to kind of make that definition. So I'm just gonna follow along the inside of my lid with that light color. Actually, let me spray the brush. That kind of will help make it a little more pigmented, if we can't just blend that out. But you see already how putting that lighter shade on the inside really just kind of, like, see how much more definition it gives to the eye just brightens the inside. The inner corner brightens it. So we're just gonna take that like halfway onto the lid, and we're gonna blend it into the darker shade. So just kind of follow your natural eye shape with that lighter shade to kind of create that look, that cut crease look without actually doing a cut crease. I'm gonna make it the most defined, like right on the inside, and then kind of smoke it out. We'll blend that together where the two colors meet on the lid. Just feel like that's such like an important step. You see how much more open this eye looks? It's softer, but it still gives you a similar effect. Pretty. And then I'm going to take that Morphe brush and just kind of like diffuse those two lines together. Love that. Okay. I think I'm going to take a little bit of this sort of champagne-y, shimmery color on a really small Surratt brush as well. And I'm just going to pop a little bit of shimmer. I feel like we need a little bit of like glow. Kind of like on the center of my eye, almost where the lighter color and the darker color meet, but just nothing too intense, but just to give it a little bit of color. I'm gonna use my finger. There we go. This will kind of help blend those two shades together too. Very subtle. Subtle but pretty. Do the same thing on the other eye. Okay. I think now we can dust away this big finally. I'm just going to take this face brush from Surratt and press kind of in as you flick away, because that kind of will push the powder into the skin. And just keep kind of help setting it. And then just take it right along that actual line and diffuse it out just a bit. Use a very, very light hand. And then just kind of dust the excess around. Alright, now let's bronze up the rest of the skin. I'm going to be using my Givenchy Healthy Glow powder in 2.5 Natural Rose. I literally am obsessed with this. It's a little on the pricier end, definitely more of a splurge, but it's kind of like almost a highlighter and bronzer mixed in one. So it really gives you that super pretty bronze but like glowing skin look without being too much of like an intense highlight, because lately I've been liking a little more of like a matte face situation as far as like on my actual like cheeks. I basically just do this and add blush, and then I'll highlight kind of like the center of my face. I don't know why, I've just been liking that look more. Okay, I think that looks good. But see, it just gives you that really nice like glowy skin, but like natural looking. So now for blush, I'm going to be taking the Westman Atelier Baby Cheeks Blush Stick. This is in Minette is the shade. It has a little bit of like reflect in it as well. It's kind of like a corally pink with some shimmer in it. I also really like Milk Makeup. Very similar, more affordable. This color I think is called like Perk. Okay, it doesn't say. I think it's Perk. But either way, and then they make these, this is like the mini versions. It's like 15 bucks, and then they have the bigger one too, but for travel, love this. But we're going to be using the Westman Atelier one today. So I'm just going to kind of dot this along my cheeks. But like, look how pretty that color is. It's so perfect with the eyeshadow. So it's kind of dotted on, and then I'm going to go back in with the brush and blend out. I'm going to take my Sigma F15 Duo brush and just buff out the cream. Just take the excess and run it over my nose, on my forehead, just to bring color all over. So pretty. Super light. You can definitely build this up if you want more pigment, but I like that you can kind of play around with it. So let's do my under eye. I'm gonna go in first with this just brown waterproof eyeliner from Givenchy, and I'm gonna line the bottom waterline and the top waterline. I'm gonna do that on both sides. What a difference eyeliner makes. Okay, now the eyeliner is on and popping. I'm gonna go in with this super flat top tapered Morphe E43 brush, and I'm gonna mix together this darkest shade and then that darker red shade, and I'm gonna buff that along the bottom lash line. And then I'm going to take on a Sephora brush, this like small smudging brush. Together this like orangish reddish shade and the lighter orange shade. And I'm going to buff that right along the bottom of the other colors to blend that out. Like I said, it always amazes me once I do the underneath of the eye how much it just ties the whole look together. It's like so satisfying. You can really kind of use that bottom lash line to really create that shape you want. So like more of like a winged out shape with the shadow. Okay. Now let's just curl my lashes and then a coat of mascara. Then today for my lashes I'm going to be using the Huda Beauty Faux Mink lashes in number 13 Jade. These are like one of my absolute favorite pairs. Voila. I went ahead and applied my lashes off camera. If you want to know how I do it, I'll link my last video somewhere above or below, and I go super in depth on how I apply my false lashes from like start to finish. So check that out. And then also while my lashes were drying, I just went in with a little bit of that same shimmer shade and tapped it on the inner corner to kind of tie that together. And now let's just go on to highlight. I'm going to be using this little baby Cover FX enhancing drops. This is in the shade Moonlight. I'm going to dot a little on my nose, forehead, chin. And then I'll put a little bit underneath my brow as well, but I'm just going to use my finger to kind of blend this out. Whoa. Little goes a long way with this stuff. Tiniest bit up the bridge of my nose. And just blend out the forehead. I use the same drops to highlight right underneath my brow. Take a little bit of my Ciroc brow pomade now that we're done with all of our powders. And I'm just going to comb that through my brows. I like to do this after, like almost last, after we've done all the powders, because sometimes I find like powders will get into my brow and then it'll make them look like flaky. Not cute. Alright, let's do our lips and then we're done. I'm going to take my KKW X Mario lip liner in Beauty Icon. And then I'm going to take this L'Oreal X Balmain lipstick in Urban Safari. It's just a super light nude. I'm going to use this as a base. Pretty. And then I think I'm going to top it off with a gloss. I'm going to use KKW X Mario Collection lip gloss in the shade Proud of You. Like the prettiest nude lip gloss. Super pigmented. Pretty. Just set my face with the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. And we're done. Here is the final look. I love this look. Like, it's giving me all the sunset vibes. I just want to be back in the warm weather and not in New York in January, but we're here, so hope you guys enjoyed this look. Really love these eyeshadow palettes. If you're looking for some new eyeshadow palettes, the size is great, the colors are amazing, the pigment's great, so yeah. Thanks so much for watching, and make sure you subscribe and like this video. And if you have any suggestions or comments, again, on future videos you want to see, please leave them down below, and I'll be back soon with another video. Thanks for watching.